Welcome back to the fourth and final segment of today's program. I'm your host, Wu Ruiguo. Jim, we're going to continue our conversation on the electronic book business and also the industry itself. And I want to ask you, though, I mean, we part of the, East Asian neighborhood, and then you mentioned earlier about, places like Hong Kong and Malaysia already doing a lot of things, trying to encourage their school-age children to use e-books instead of the traditional paper books. And you also urge our government can do a little more. Do you have anything specific that you would like to recommend that, in terms of not only more budget in this area, but in terms of, developing and cultivating a new generation of young, school-age children to develop this habit of reading from the e-books? Do you have any specific suggestions you can make?
Sure.
Okay.
I've been discussing with the industry leaders these days. And a few areas I think that our government can put more effort or more thought on are,
please.
First, for the content digitization. This requires massive resources, and not only 1 year, but many years to achieve. So I think the public resources or government should have a very clear plan and to support this. You know that Google is doing it by itself, but it has made an amazing headway. But in Chinese books, I think a lot of efforts still need to be done. So the government can play a role on that. The second area is the digital right. This is a very interesting area because a lot of publishers or content owners, they actually don't know how to design or distribute digital right. And also the law we are currently having is not as flexible. For example, if you have a book, a textbook, you may have some photos or some text that can only be used in school, and also only on paper. So all those inflexibility that make the conversion to a digital format or the distribution is much more difficult. So I would urge government to rethink the entire scheme when on the digital right, so that the vendors or the publishers can have more flexibility.
Well, let's put this industry in the cross-strait context. Between Taiwanese manufacturers and also their counterparts in China or their competitors in China. Do you think that there are more areas that the two sides can cooperate in terms of electronic, books and publishing in the future?
Yes. Certainly they are. Certainly they are.
In terms of hardware or software or both?
I think the hardware part is more obvious these days because, like I said, Taiwanese companies possess a more advanced technology in the supply chain. So you can see that when the chairman of China Mobile, who is the biggest mobile operators in the world, they came to visit about a few weeks ago. A lot of leaders from Taiwanese companies are eager to meet up with them. Meet up with them and make relationship. For example, the chairman of Delta showed the e-book technology to Mr. Wang. And also, Mr. Wang visit Hong Hai and presumably order a lot of e-book manufacturing to serve their home market. So that means that we do have a lot of assets and technology that the companies in China will need or they currently lack of. So I think this is a good opportunity to use China as the home market to develop a lot of our own businesses. And that is from the hardware part. From the content part, I know that the publishers from both sides are working together, try to form a new standard in Chinese format. For example, in US, there's a standard called EPUB. It's currently evolving. That is for publishers to put together a digital content so that it can be distributed across different devices or platforms. But Chinese characters has its own format. For example, you read it from the straight way, or you read it from the right to the left. And so there's a need to have a more interchangeable standard
Okay.
in the Chinese publishing industry. So I know a few of the leading publishers in Taiwan are currently collaborating with the Chinese companies
in China.
And we hope to see that happen soon, because when more digital content is available, and the more opportunity that people will use this kind of solution.
Okay. And Jim, I'm going to go back to a more general angle, looking at your career all the way from, your days at Stanford, Harvard, and then Silicon Valley, and now in Taiwan, that you've been advising a lot of different Taiwanese firms. They would like to, of course, in terms of, changing their organizational structure, but also in the process, becoming more integrated, in the age of globalization.
Yes.
What do you think are some of the problems, more general problems, that Taiwanese firms and businesses are confronted with? And what would be the recommendations that you can make, to firms that are seeking to be more internationally integrated, to be more globalized, that they can make the transition more smoothly?
Sure.
Yeah.
During my years at McKinsey, I did have a chance to advise quite a few companies.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Mostly are bigger companies.
Yeah,
So when I compare them, the Taiwanese ones to the Western ones, or even the Korean ones or Chinese ones, they do have quite a few differences in culture or management style.
Yes.
So two of the areas I would particularly point out that I hope the leaders in Taiwanese companies can think more or invest more. The first one is corporate governance.
Okay.
Yeah, this concept has been very solid in Western society.
Exactly.
But in Taiwan or in most of Asian companies, they are still evolving. Yeah, corporate governance usually means that you have a clear separation between the ownership and the management.
Exactly.
Particularly at the board of director levels, you need to balance your ownership with the appropriate expertise. A lot of time you need to have independent directors.
Exactly, from outside.
Exactly. So in Taiwan, maybe TSMC is one of the best examples. They recruit the internationally renowned
business
leaders to sit on the board. But most other Taiwanese companies don't have that.
No.
And they don't think that's necessary. But at the end, they actually can cause a lot of uncertainty when they make business decisions. Yeah. And also I found that a lot of Taiwanese companies, they cross-invest or over-invest a lot of different business. So the holdings or the cross-reference in holdings that makes the management or governance of the company is very difficult. So you see that it has to fundamentally change the concept of running a long-lasting business. So that will make more Taiwanese companies become more globally competitive. I think that's one of the key concepts.
Okay, good.
The second concept is global branding. Yeah, certainly we see that in Taiwanese companies, a lot of manufacturing capabilities has been built, and no doubt about it, it's the world number one. Some of them start to think in a more branding or marketing sense. And I think right now is the best time, because when we collaborate with the Chinese company or take advantage of the Chinese market as a home market, I would say that we have a chance to build more globally known brands. So this is not only the expertise, but also the mindset. So I hope more and more Taiwanese companies can think of a more market-driven strategy and operations. That means that you don't only focus on cost or people's activities, but you value more innovation, creativity, more market-driven activities. So this kind of mindset change can help us grow to a much more diversified or more robust business in the world.
Good. And finally, Jim, there's been a lot of discussions about the possibility of cross-strait economic cooperation. And certainly we've seen the relationship have become more integrated since May of 2008. What would you think that in the future, there are areas that the two sides can compete, there are areas two sides can complement each other? What would be your recommendation? where's the edge for Taiwanese business as we become more integrated with the Chinese counterparts from the mainland?
Sure. We certainly want to see more collaboration.
Okay.
Yeah, when you need to compete with Chinese companies, it's a little harder and harder these days.
Of course.
Yeah, they get to possess a lot of resources, and their influence to global economy is getting higher and higher.
Yes.
But I still have a very strong faith to our Taiwanese friends or Taiwanese companies, because we are much more modernly managed than our counterparts.
Okay.
We have more creativity and innovation.
Exactly.
And better business ethics. Yeah, to compare to a lot of Chinese companies these days. I like to see more collaborations along in the value chain.
Okay.
To give you an example, that when China recently had a consumer electronic program that bring in the low-cost appliances to the countryside.
Yes.
Yeah, it's called 家电下乡. We see that it actually gives Taiwanese companies a lot of opportunities to build in their technologies, components.
To penetrate the domestic market.
Exactly. Yes. And one example is the LCD panels.
Yeah.
So LCD makers in Taiwan is very strong, but they also have to compete with Korean companies, which is world number one.
LG.
Yeah, exactly. But because Taiwanese companies don't have their own brand as the outlet of their panels. But working with Chinese companies, like Chinese-owned brands, the market suddenly gets much bigger. Much bigger. And the collaborations that build an entry barrier that Korean companies cannot come in. So this kind of collaboration, I will see more and more.
Yes. Well, thank you, Jim, for sharing your wealth of experience in terms of consulting businesses here in Taiwan and other parts of the world. We certainly want to wish you the very best in your HiAChieve, digital technology development. We look forward to bigger and better things from you in the future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being on the program. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time on Macroview Television. Thank you.